Hi everyone, welcome. I'm over here on my computer and some of you might recognize this. It's a little diagram that I created. It's really based on a diagram that I had originally started out drawing by hand each time on this little boogie board. And, eventually I thought that it'd be nice to have a lot of this information calculated for me so that each time I prepare the drawing it would all be here for me. But this started looking pretty good. I wanted to just start using this as is rather than drawing it by hand. But people really did seem to prefer the hand-drawn version of it. So I don't know, I guess I'll switch back and forth because today I'm just suffering from a really bad headache. So I apologize to anyone who was hoping to see my next rendition of the hand-drawn version of this, but today this is all we're going to get. I really just want to get this feeding taken care of so that we can stick to our 10-day interval between feedings. Maybe we'll take a quick peek at how some of these previous feedings are holding out, but I don't want to spend too much time on this today. So let's head down there now and take care of this. Things down here in the bin might appear to be a little bit disheveled, but this is exactly the way we left it last time. We intentionally left the edges uncovered so that we can allow for a little bit of drying to occur. And I guess this little contribution from some nearby spider's web, a little bit of silk, which is something that the worms will eventually eat, just like cotton or whatever. What are they? Cottons and silk. What other fabrics are there? Wool. All those different types of materials that we as humans use as fabric. The worms can also eat. So there's still a little bit of moisture collecting near the middle of the plastic. The outer edges are dry from being exposed to the air, and we probably left a good 1.5 inches or so, maybe 30 or so, 35 centimeters from the edge to allow for a little bit of drying to occur. So what we've had going on here is always changing the corner for anyone who's not seen what's happened in this bin before. And we've always left one of these coffee filters in the last place that we checked. So today, knowing that there was a 10-day interval, we know that what we put in there 10 days ago is now 10 days old. I didn't know where that was going to lead, so I just figured I'd complete it. But that's the obvious, right? So we can take a peek in here, and eventually, since we're, in a clockwise pattern, the next place to be fed is actually over here. But let's save that for last because we got to get there anyway and open up a hole. Besides, that's the greatest amount of time that's passed so far. If this was 10 days ago, what was put there last was 20 days ago. What was put here 30 days ago, and that brings us actually to 40 days ago that we last fed this corner. But the stuff that we put in here next to some leftovers from previous feedings, the most notable thing that's been in this corner is the stem of a pumpkin. There was various other things put in here, but the pumpkin stem is the most notable thing. The pumpkin that came in along with it is long gone, but the stem remains. This is actually a little chunk of it that I had chipped off at one point, just to demonstrate how fragile the whole thing was becoming. I'm not sure. I think it came from somewhere over there. And what we put in here last time, I know there was some coffee. I think there might have been some worm chow too, and we'll include worm chow today too. I got my worm chow right here. The primary material fed though was this orange peel. It was not frozen, unlike most of the foods that I give my worms. This stuff just went in here raw. If unfrozen is raw, I'm not sure if that's the right description. And I wasn't quite sure what to expect because I don't feed a lot of lemon or any citrus peels, orange peels, I'm sorry, not lemon. This one looks like it's actually holding up pretty good. It looks like it's got a pretty thick coating of crushed eggshell on it. That's the stuff we use as grit. Try to help the digestion of the materials by adding a little bit of grit to go along with it. Got a few more chunks of it in here, I believe. But we're not seeing a great deal of progress on it yet. I think it's something that's probably going to take a little bit of time. Here's another pretty good sized piece of it. I guess this was probably one of the most promising pieces, and who knows, maybe they were just coming in for the coffee that was resting on top of it and they weren't even interested in the orange peel. Maybe it'll take some time before the orange peel starts to actually pick up some momentum. The mold seems to like it though. The mold always gets going on the citrus pretty quick. But let's make sure we've returned our pumpkin stem to more or less the place we like to keep it. I like to keep this tougher end on the corner, facing the corner where the feedings are going, so that it gets the most activity. That site's tough. It's the top of the stem is kind of, you know, already falling apart as I showed you earlier, but that part that connects to the actual fruit is really pretty tough and hasn't softened up much yet. So the other thing we did last time was pile out a bunch of my prepared bedding. All this shredded paper out here was placed out on top. We did that the last couple feedings. We were starting to wonder if there was enough bedding in this system, so we started supplementing just by putting a big pile of it right on the top. And every time we come in here and feed, you saw a whole bunch of it just got blended in as I returned everything to that corner. And by the time we make our way around, that extra bedding will be, for the most part, all blended in everywhere. I got more. We can add a little bit more to it. Now, the most notable feeding that went down in here, and you know, it was a long time ago, months and months ago, was the avocados. They were put in here, you know, whole avocados, just cut in half, minus the pit. And they took forever. And they're probably still in here in good amounts as leftovers. This to me looks like potato peel. I guess potato must have been the last feeding. Again, I don't have my crib sheet here, so I can't just glance over and look at all that information that was on that board. That's one of the main drawbacks of having it on the computer and being able to show it only once in the beginning and then not have the information handy. Here's a piece of avocado shell. So this is, you know, obviously a nice popular corner. And all the stuff that gets put in there over time gets broken down gradually. Some parts of the feedings go quick. Other parts, for whatever reasons, take longer. Probably doesn't hurt that we're blending in some of that potato peel with the neighboring materials too, because it was kind of clumped together, right? All right, let's move on here. We've got, I don't remember, I think banana peels or something? I can't remember what was placed in here. Whatever it was, I believe it was something that was going to go pretty quick. For some reason, banana peel seems to ring a bell. Good amount of moisture, right? Considering the perimeter has had no coverings for the past 10 days. A lot of this material is quite gooey and damp. Here's the stem of a banana. That would make it 10, 20, 30. This is almost a month of wear on the stem of a banana. It's pretty good. I'm sure there's probably other leftovers of it, but the stem is the sort of thing you're definitely going to bump into. For a little while at least, until they break it down. Alright. And I doubt we're going to see any leftovers of whatever was put in here, where we're going to feed today, because that was cantaloupe rinds. And even going back another 40 days to the previous feeding, 80 days ago, that was also cantaloupe rinds. That's what makes me wonder, how is it that we're always finding worms over here? You would think that all the melon is long gone, but they all seem to just keep hanging out here. It almost seems like like if certain just bunches of worms have sort of staked out their little corner, and they just like to stay there and just wait for the next food to come to them, and they don't even bother going after the most recent application of food in the neighboring corners. Maybe we've got little territories developing over here. Alright, so I mean, I keep getting distracted because I look around and I see, you know, cocoons all over the place. I'm not sure if it's visible, but there's a cocoon right here on my thumb. Looks like a little tiny lemon or something, right? And they're all over the place, so these worms are happy. Let's get them fed. Now, I've got more paper we could sprinkle across the top as bonus bedding in the middle for everyone, but these guys are going to get a bunch of bonus bedding to go along with their feeding. They're going to get coffee, banana peel, and broccoli. It's a pretty good sized feeding, right? So I got to make a lot of room for that here. Right, and since we got brand new coffee filters here, why don't we take this seasoned one and use that as sort of our placemat to begin putting our food in. We'll use one of the nice new ones as the feeding zone indicator after we're done. I like to sort of add the food in little layers, and some of the bedding they're going to get with this food is a number of soiled paper towels and napkins and things like that. Just figured I'd get that stuff into the works as well. Get some of the veggies in here with the fruits. You would think a banana and broccoli combo, something that they should probably enjoy. I'm going to drop in a little bit of this pulverized eggshell too. You saw some of that on the orange earlier, the grit that I use. Keep layering in the foods. I've been wondering if we need to bring over my prepared bedding. At least not for this feeding. I think these napkins and paper towels and everything else, they're going to serve as a good dose of bedding down here for this feeding. So I don't think we're going to have any sort of a shortage of bedding for these little guys. I've also got the worm chow. Let's not forget to put some of that in here too, right? Oh. I think I already started using this in the last feeding. And we're running out of room. I did have one more paper towel over here. So whatever, we'll just drop it right on. That's great. It's going to be covering up the food so it doesn't emit any sort of delicious odors that, oh geez, still had some coffee. Just like me, right? To forget something like that. Well, as long as we're putting coffee in by itself, seems like maybe a nice thing to include a little bit of more worm chow in it. Blend it in a little. And let's see, where are we? This one we need to keep as our feeding zone indicator, right? Yeah, sticky, gooey, wet stuff. Not what you would expect. I would think that we're, bringing all that wet stuff up each time we dive down to inspect each of these feeding areas. We're going to be helping this stuff dry. And if we keep covering up the way we've been covering up, which is, not going out to the edges, we're going to allow for a little bit of drying there too. So I think that's going to be a good way to keep going forward. And all that stuff that did dry a little bit over the past 10 days, at this point it's all mixed in and it's getting its fair share of activity too, so it won't go abandoned and just sit there idle indefinitely. So I don't know, I think we've got everything. I don't feel like I'm on my A game here with this headache, but hopefully I didn't forget too much. Forgetting stuff is sort of par for the course when I'm not paying close attention, or maybe it happens more frequently than I think. It doesn't necessarily have to be me paying attention or not. I think it's just, I don't know. It's very easy to get sidetracked. I'm looking at some of these little flying insects here, and I've got my fancy applicator for my diatomaceous earth. So I've got this going on in most of my systems. I'm going to just give these little guys buzzing around here a little to play in. And what the heck, right? Can't hurt, right? Alright, I've gotten myself quite soiled here in the process, so I'll take care of getting everything cleaned up and put away in a moment once I've turned off the camera. But before I go, let me just really quickly say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, before you go, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up. And also, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Alright everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.